Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television, and I'm here with Kenny Fogle, who you get to see every week here on Community Focus on Nelson County. But today we're actually talking about another aspect of Kenny Fogle, right?
Yeah, it's one people. It's a new one, I guess.
And that is author.
Author, that's right. Well, I do some writing. I've been doing some writing for the last several years for a local newspaper, and did some speech writing when I worked in Frankfurt and a few things. And somebody came up with a great idea. I said, I like reading your columns. They said, why don't you just compile all your columns into one little book? And I said, that's a great idea. I said, all I got to do is copy and paste. Find all these columns. Well, it didn't work. It was a bad idea, because what happened is I was skipping from one topic to another, and a lot of them was timely. It's something that was going on right now, and it may not make sense later on. And then again, with the newspaper, you're limited to 650 words, and when you're writing a book, 650 words really doesn't cut it. It's not even really a good chapter. So I said, well, I'll just start all over from scratch. So I decided I'll pick 2 or 3 topics that I'm really interested in, and I'll go from there. So to me, because anybody knows me, they know I've been involved in politics over the years, politics and government. That's what I have. Actually, my degree in college was government. So I just said, well, no, politics and government, that's sort of a passion of mine. Religion, spirituality, that's sort of always been a passion of mine, and just life in general. So I said, I'll just put it all in a book. So I said, if nothing else, this book will be something my grandkids could read, or somebody that basically, they could look back and say, well, they could know maybe how Grandpa ticked. So it's sort of a legacy of mine for my kids and grandkids more than anything. If somebody else reads it, that's wonderful. It's available for people to read, but that's not why I wrote it. I wrote it for me. They say everybody's got a book in them. Well, I don't anymore. Mine's out.
That's right. And the book is The Day Before Graduation.
Well, what came to mind for me, I was watching a show a year or so ago, and they were talking about all the different graduation days you have in your life. High school, you graduate from one job to another, and you're constantly graduating. And the biggest graduation of all, obviously, is when you pass away and go to the next world. So to me, every day before that is the day before graduation. Every day before the day we actually leave this earth is the day before graduation. So I said, to me, that sort of made sense. So you're always graduating, and maybe the last chapter of your life is the big one.
Yeah. Working your way towards commencement.
You sort of work your way towards commencement, and every day, I know everybody always says, you can do anything you want to in your life as long as that day before you do okay, and you repent everything. We just don't know when that day before is.
Exactly.
I mean, it might be tomorrow, it might be next week, it might be 20 years from now. So that day before graduation is the most elusive day that we don't really know about. So you got to prepare for it constantly. So that's sort of the inspiration I had, and I was raised down in the southern part of Nelson County, down near the Abbey of Gethsemane. And one of my biggest heroes, I guess, and just really discovered him over the last few years, even though he's been around all my life, was Thomas Merton, the monk at Gethsemane, and started reading a lot of Thomas Merton, and I realized that he and I were on the same page. And he writes a whole lot better than I do. There's no question about that. But I thought, if I could write him a lot what he says in more down-to-earth terms. He's very eloquent, and I'm not. I don't claim the famed eloquence, but I do like to write clarity. I think the biggest compliment somebody can give me is, I like what I read, and you make sense. And if somebody tells me that, I feel better about that than somebody saying, you used a big word that I've never seen before, and because I just like, my writing style is quite different from Thomas Merton's, but hopefully we're in the same vein of what we're thinking. So to me, that's why I even put part of a cookbook in there, because a few years ago I was diagnosed as a diabetic, and one of the things I started doing was changing my eating habits. So I finally changed my eating habits to the point that I've got some very low carb recipes, and changing my the recipes are in there. I've got and these are my favorites. Some people say, well, if you're diabetic, you can't eat anything. Well, you can, and you can eat a lot of great stuff. I can eat pancakes and waffles every morning for breakfast. Not the same ones you probably can eat, but I can, and so I put that in the book, and I lost about 35 pounds in the process. So I thought, if it works for me, it might not work for everybody, but I'm going to share it with other people. So I decided, if I'm only going to do one book in my life, and who knows, I may have another one, but I doubt it. But if it's only one book in my life, I want to put everything that I think is really important to me to pass on to hopefully generations to come.
Absolutely. So what kind of advice did you have about getting a book completed? Because you said that you got the ideas from your columns, but takes a lot of work to actually get to.
Well, basically what it does is if you like to write, and that's what I do. That's my therapy. I always tell people my therapy is writing. Because at 4 in the morning I'll wake up and I'll think of something that's really on my mind, and until I go out into my computer and write it down, it still bugs me. But once I write it down, it seems like I can get that out of my system. So that's what I started doing. An idea would hit me. I'd be out somewhere maybe, and I hate to admit this, but I've actually been in church a few times, and something will hit me, and I'll take out a little notepad and write it down so I can remember when I get home to expand on it. So I'd write a little bit here and there, but the hardest part is trying to put it all together, because you got all these different ideas bouncing all over the place. Now you want to put it in some sort of form that it sort of flows, and that's really a difficult part to me. Is because and you'll see this in my book, because it's self-published and self-edited. And then when I say that self-edited part, that's the part where I may say something in chapter 3, and in chapter 11 I may repeat myself almost verbatim, because it flows with whatever story I'm in at that time. So like some real polished writers, they probably wouldn't do that. But as I say, an amateur writer of sorts, that's what I did.
And it's called The Day Before Graduation. How can people get a copy of this book?
Well, basically, I went through Amazon.com for my publishing. So it's on Amazon.com if somebody wants to go there. It's also on Kindle if somebody wants to get it, because my brother called me and said he never reads a book, but says he does. He has a Kindle account. So he downloaded it to his Kindle, and he's been reading it. But it's also available at 3 or 4 places here in Bardstown. It's at Mammy's Kitchen. It's on sale at Mammy's Kitchen. It's on sale at the Civil War Museum, the Fine Arts of Bardstown Museum, the Art Museum right on the center square in Bardstown, and at the Shirt Shop out on Reardon Boulevard. And so it's at those 4 places right now, maybe more later, and probably be at the library here soon. But it's $14.99 is the price I put on it. And like I said, I'm not in it to make money, and not in it to really do a lot with it, but if it's my thoughts, my ideas, and if somebody reads it and enjoys it, that tickles me to death.
Great. Any book signings planned?
Well, not planned, but I've already had some people ask me about it, and I said if it seems like there's a demand for it, at some point, maybe a few weeks down the road, I may want to do that. But right now, I really want to see if people like the book first. If I go down the road and people start throwing the book at me, we might not want to sign that book. But again, if they like it and say, this is something they really enjoyed, maybe we might want to do that.
Now, where'd the cover art come from, too?
Well, again, that's that. When you self-publish, you get on the internet. I talked to several publishers. That is really one of the difficult things. You talk to publishers, and if you're not a known writer, publishers really don't want to deal with you, because they charge you an arm and a leg to edit. They charge you an arm and a leg for graphics. And there's all kinds of things they want to do. So self-publishing, you go through the internet, and I looked at about 5 or 6 different self-publishing companies. I finally went with Amazon, who puts you in place with a place called Create Space. That was the name of the company. And basically they have thousands and thousands of different templates. And some of the templates are for the cover, some of the templates are for the print and everything. So they really walk you through it. If you really take the time, and then they'll send you the editing part's the hard part. Like I think that's probably about the 4th draft I had to go through, and it's still got some errors in it. I even found a couple errors in it, little grammatical errors, and I'm going to have to live with it because they're printed. Right. But yeah, you can walk through those publishing things and self-publish and do it yourself. It's not that expensive. But it is it's time consuming. It's just something you got to walk through.
And it's worthwhile to get your piece published.
It is
and printed.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm very proud of it, because like I said, it's something that not a whole lot of people, I don't know, like I said, I'm not in the process of selling it, and if I get it out there, it's available for people to read. It's me. I have no more secrets. They're all there.
They're all there.
So it's me, and if somebody gets an opportunity and wants to read it, and once they can't find it, give me a call or let me know some way or another, and we'll make sure you get a copy.
So that's Kenny's book, and it's called The Day Before Graduation, and you can find it on Amazon.com or several spots all around Bardstown.
Exactly.
And then you can let Kenny know what you think of it.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, if you don't like it, don't tell me, but if you do, that'd be nice.
Absolutely. Then you can have all the things on the back where they say how great they are.
There you go. Well, thank you.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you letting me do this today, and appreciate anybody. If you get a chance to look at it, just let me know what you think. And really, I just hope you enjoy it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. It's been Gary White for Central Kentucky Television.